And we are live.
Good morning. Good mythical morning, everyone. It's the one, the only, the majestic ape himself, Senor Silverback, joined by the master of the flux capacitor, the producer par excellence, and the sidekick extraordinaire. We are the dynamic duo bringing you the news and the views that are important to you. With that being said, you can follow us on Twitter at The Rogue Money. Check us out on Facebook, Rogue Money, roguemoney.net. Get us on every podcasting app known to mankind and all of humanity. With that being said, also, check us out on the Apple News and soon to be on Google News as well. Yours truly coming in loud and clear with nothing to fear. And also check out our sponsors, myfreedomnow.us. Learn how you can get funded. You ever wonder how you can get money for Bitcoin and gold and silver and all these other assets you wish you could get? Well, go to myfreedomnow.us. Figure out how you can get funded up to six, count them, CJ, $600,000. $600,000 unsecured. So you can use that to get yourself a home, a car, some gold, silver, Bitcoin, stock portfolio investments. Put your money to work, for the love of God. myfreedomnow.us. Let those guys get the credit you need, the money that you need, and the life that you deserve. That being said, CJ, what's going on?
Hey, good morning, V. Pumped up and ready to go. It looks like that Theresa May is going to be, again, utilizing the event that occurred to usher in some new overreach of the government.
Well, that's always wonderful, right? I mean, that's always who benefits from this stuff, you know? Maybe she should ban more, not only guns, maybe she should ban nails.
That's next, V. That's next.
So what is she doing, man? She more overreach of power, huh?
Yeah, well, obviously she calls in, the military forces to take over a lot of the police areas, really kind of escalated the, almost like we had during George W. Bush, where they had the terror threat flag, where the MSM would raise it every day as far as, severe threat. And here all along, the gentleman that created it, that did this attack, actually had an ISIS flag on the outside of his house. I mean, obviously there's no more.
No, there's nothing obvious there.
Nothing to see. Look the other way.
You got to be kidding me, dude. I mean, who writes this stuff? Really? The guy had an ISIS flag outside of his house, and I bet you he was. When you look deeply into these guys, you kind of figure that they were either informants or they were being, coddled or protected. They knew about them. Like every single one of these attacks all over Europe. When I started looking into them, here's what I discovered. Okay. Every single one of these guys were known by the local law enforcement. How are you known? Right? I mean, look at what happened in that
every time.
That truck attack in Germany, right?
He was being monitored closely.
Right. GSG9, the Germany security forces, they're like, yes, we knew about him. If we knew that he was going to bomb somewhere. And so what happened? I mean, this is unbelievable. So again, you see the dereliction of duty. Again, you see that either A, law enforcement is that stupid, or B, they're involved. And so break this down for us, CJ, real quick.
Well, just in the being so politically correct, and that's something that we right now in the United States, it's under attack as far as what we report in the media, what Google is doing to censor some of our friends in the new media. This is what can happen if you hide the truth, if you keep people. I tell you what, V, we should all take pride that we should wear it with a badge of honor when people call us either conspiracy theorists or in the event that we're alerting people regarding some of these things happening. So now Theresa May is coming in and saying, you know what, we need a new internet that needs to be governed more by the government.
What does this have to do with the internet?
Well, that's the thing. That's what they always use these events for. They use these events. I mean, time after time again, we see it in Orlando with the guy that did that attack there. He had been on the FBI. He'd been interviewed in the FBI. The San Bernardino, the two that committed that crime. Oh, they had lots of packages being delivered, to their house from UPS. Neighbors wondered what was going on there. In the era of political correctness, that if we don't alert, we don't say anything out of fear of censorship, what's happening in the UK, what's happening throughout Europe, that's what they get. This event that occurred, V, is a direct result of their government's actions of inaction and their attack against free speech, V.
Right, man, and I think when you look at a lot of the details here, I think there's a lot of details that pop out to me of a false flag. Number one, I'm seeing like videos and photographs of victims coming out. One of them, their pant leg is ripped. There's supposed to be a Band-Aid. I mean, your pant leg is ripped, and they're walking barefoot, and they're looking all like crisis actors look like. Dude, there's no blood anywhere. Okay, and number two, look at the pictures of all the kids. Evil strikes us. No, because you guys are idiots. You're something. I mean, May is facing election in 2 weeks, and now her popularity surges. You look at the picture of the kids, that young girl, the 8-year-old girl. You've seen the newspaper clippings? Like, it's her face being plastered everywhere.
Yep.
And I'm saying to myself, I'm looking at this picture of this young girl, and everybody's like, "Oh my God, she's so young and beautiful. Look what happened to her. Her life was nothing." And I'm looking at it, man. Something doesn't settle well in my stomach. I said to myself, how many times has this young girl died already? Right? Because CJ, if you remember one of the boys who were supposedly killed at Sandy Hook?
Right.
And all of a sudden, in another school shooting in freaking Pakistan, the boy's picture reappears as one of the kids that were killed.
We see it time after time again. These crisis actors, these companies that specialize in these types of programs, V.
Right. And let me ask you this, man. How are 22 people killed, supposedly, 119 wounded, supposedly, and then 15 missing? What happened to the 15? Did they disintegrate? I mean, are the nails that strong in Britain that it causes people to disintegrate when there's a nail bomb?
Yeah, where's the CCTV video release?
Nothing.
Where's the CCTV?
This is Manchester. CJ, when you look at this whole stadium, it is surrounded by cameras. Surrounded by cameras. Okay, not a single still or photo we've seen of this quote unquote explosion.
Not one.
None.
Not one. Instead, what we see is first responders. We see them, coddling to young kids. This same balloon that's in every picture, it must be a magical balloon that floats around. And these are all by design to bring us to a compliant society, so that when they bring these extra military personnel, they get this fake narrative of safety of, oh, look, they're protecting us. Our government's protecting us. When in fact they're not. The other aspect of this V is that with these events that are occurring, kind of like when the French episode, the French terrorist attack, they usually utilize these events also to plan coordinated events potentially in Syria to say, look, this is why we need to get back involved in Syria. We need to get back in there and do more. So these are disruptive things to monitor, and then more importantly, here in the United States, we cannot fall victim to this as far as the political correctness of calling things what they are. Paul Joseph Watson has actually documented people in Britain, people in the UK, walking down the middle of the street with ISIS flags, and not one person will say one word to them, V. Not one word. But in the South, if you walk around with a Confederate flag, they're going to come after you.
Hell, man, you come to New York, ride a subway with a Donald Trump MAGA hat on and see what happens.
So all these things, V, are geared around a compliant society. We have to resist. We can't accept these things. And then more importantly, here in the stateside, as you see these events unfold regarding the censorship, regarding the media, all these things the government are wanting to do to continue to feel that they're protecting us when in fact they're not.
Absolutely right. This is what freaks me out. And at the end of the day, as time goes on, the evidence comes out whether this is a 100% false flag or not. I am on the fence. I'm not on the fence. I'm of the opinion that this is a false flag. Especially you go back, you listen to the interview we just released with Ole Damagard. Listen to that freaking interview. This is the guy who's got it down to an art form. Okay, this is a guy who stopped false flags. And I think if Ole looked at this, he'd say, yeah, this is a false flag. His eye is more trained than any of ours to see this. Okay. But my gut instinct saying it's a false flag. So So, okay, Bono, who benefits? It's always the friggin' state that uses this as a pretext to ratchet up securities, and securities that doesn't stop any attack. It just increases their power to make your life more miserable. That's it.
That's it. Bingo. And again, in the event of a false flag, Envy, I think what we mean by that, in the event that something did happen, that almost like what's happened here in the United States, that they provided the weapons, they have provided the materials, they have provided everything to potentially, hopefully, that he brings out a bigger net to capture. They throw the net out there, hopefully to bring more people in. It doesn't happen. This event gets carried out, and in the whole time, the people that were supposed to be observing, supposed to be monitoring these things, just kind of accidentally let it happen.
Yeah, supposedly, right?
Right.
We've been tracking him for 5 years. We have 10 years of his Facebook posts in our databases. We knew he was violent. He has a propensity for beheading bunny rabbits in his backyard. So what did you do? And we let him go. Really? You knew he was going to bomb something somewhere. You knew that he was a danger, a menace to society, to say the least, and you just let him go. Oh, yes, we let him go. Why? We were told to stand down, and we were having a drill. I bet you there was probably a drill that happened
2 days before. Yeah, 2 days before, RT had released video showing them, I believe, at the actual same area, the same event this has occurred, where they were actually doing the drills. And I believe someone actually reported on it, like they thought something had really happened, and someone had posted something on like a Twitter or a social page, and they're like, no, that's just a drill going on. Look the other way.
Wow. So there you go, folks. That seals the deal for me, CJ. It's a false flag.
Absolutely.
That seals the deal. So, Ron Paul breaks down the non-budget, man.
It's just amazing that these people who are supposedly the elected officials, who are so intelligent, and a lot of attorneys, different backgrounds, that are sitting in the DC, and they have no idea of. And this is a great article that Ron Paul wrote in regards to 3 + 1 = 5, and that pretty much kind of sums up how our government believes these perceived numbers. So they'll come out with these figures that are their best guesstimates, knowing in fact that it's going to cost 2 to 3 times what they put on the table, time after time again.
Exactly, because you can't put together what's a budget without pork, CJ? Huh?
What's a government without pork and government expansion, how many times do we have to hear that there were record revenue tax incomes for the first and second quarter, but we ran a $1 trillion deficit? Okay.
Yep.
I think my son's elementary class could run a better budget than the federal government.
It's disgusting. It's disgusting, and I mean, look at what the shenanigans is happening, where all these statists run. And it doesn't matter if you're a right-wing statist or a left-wing statist; you're still a statist, and you don't know how to run a lemonade stand if your life depended upon it. Look at countries like Puerto Rico, where not once have they thought about maybe curbing some of their expenditure. Not once have they thought about getting rid of these useless government pet projects. No, they want what? Austerity on the people, more taxes, more this, more that. Squeeze the blood from the stone, so to speak, man. Ridiculous.
Yes, well said. And then have these immigration programs that bring millions of more people for the sole purpose of stating we want to do this because they're refugees. It's the humanitarian thing to do, knowing in fact that they want to get these people Social Security numbers. They want to get them contributing taxes to keep this system going. And most Americans don't understand that. So you create a whole voting class. You create a whole new tax foundation to keep the level of corruption going at the federal level.
Yep, absolutely correct. And the funny thing is, it's not like we're importing all the talent, CJ. We're bringing in like the useless ones. We're bringing in those who are going to weigh down the system, not those who are going to be productive citizens, man. That's the problem. Right. It's like, oh, you're a doctor, you got a doctorate, or you're a scientist and engineer. We don't need you. What, you're a bum, possibly a convicted felon? Come on in. Here's an EBT card. Enjoy your stay. Have some Section 8 on us.
Yeah, and the H-1B visa program has existed for years, and that's what's intended to bring
Yep.
The people that have the experience, that have the academia, where they just need an internship here. They need to learn the language a little bit better. Throughout my career, I've seen numerous quality immigrants that have came in under the H-1B visa programs, and our pharmacists, our doctors are doing some great things. So what would be wrong with trying to curtail illegal immigration into this country?
Well,
Nothing.
well, there is one problem. You'll lose the voter base for the Democratic Party. That's for sure.
Yeah, and you also lose the low wage earner that these companies want, so that they can promote on one side. Oh yeah, we want to raise the minimum wage. On the other hand, they're bringing in people that are used to making $2 or $3 per day, knowing that they can fill this vacuum of jobs, and at the same time giving unemployment, giving all these benefits to again bring people under the umbrella of social control.
Yep, absolutely, man. Absolutely right. Is Trumping paving the way for escalation with Iran?
Yeah, this is something, V, that yesterday, and I'm not sure if you had posted or discussed it at all in regards to the whole Saudi Israel relationship. In this speech that Trump gave, is he creating the context for escalation in the Middle East? And what I mean by that is that he used the words of potential NATO force in the Middle East, which I don't agree with. So this article just goes out to state that some of the things that he directly spoke of, creating this the Iran as this monster that's the largest terrorist organization is based out of Iran, which in fact it's not. I mean, I think we've documented here that Iran, for the most part, it does a lot more for types of equalities in regards to women than the Saudis does. So here's giving this speech in front of the Saudis. However, it's the Saudis that have in part been compliant or contributed to the ISIS in Syria, and versus Iran, who is actually trying to help Saudi Arabia, to help the Soviet Union, Russia, to get rid of ISIS in Syria.
Right. I think it's this political claptrap. He had an opportunity to quote unquote ban the sanctions, okay, to get rid of the sanctions for what's called for Iran, right? He had an opportunity to not ban the sanctions. What is it? To reinstall the sanctions against Iran. Okay, that passed by his desk.
Yep.
He didn't do it. Okay, he didn't do it. Okay, number one. Number two, I think London Poll broke it down. I agreed with him as well. This is a $350 billion weapons deal. And most people who don't know would be like, oh my God, it's because he's arming up the Saudis. First and foremost, the Saudis are like the most piss poor army. I mean, they're useless, okay, in the Middle East. They're garbage. Number two, we're selling them equipment. At the end of the day, it's not going to really make a difference to anything or anyone, okay? It's not going to change the strategic landscape in the Middle East. It's just not going to happen. So based on those two things, I think it's rhetoric. Of course, it's political kabuki theater. Iran's going to do its part by issuing their statements against what Trump said. And NATO, putting NATO in the Middle East. Well, what does that mean? NATO, we are NATO. We're already in the Middle East, right?
Right.
We're already in those de-escalation zones, and we are already working with the Russians and the Iranians and the Syrians in helping the de-escalation zone, except for those deep state actors that still have some control over certain aspects of the military. This is a very interesting thing. So, the immediate response is to react and say, Trump is ratcheting up the Middle East for a wider scale war. There's World War III, this, that, and the other. But you and I both know, man, this is kabuki theater. I think, strategically speaking, it's a grander play because look, our economy is going to pop. Okay, it's going to pop, and it's not going to be the hell on earth that it would have been under Hillary Clinton. It's going to be more of a controlled crash under Trump. And with that being said, I think we're going to have a place at the table when the new Eurasian future is realized. CJ, we're going to have our place on the table somewhere. We're no longer going to be the superpower after this whole thing's said and done, and we're no longer going to be the world currency. We won't have that burden anymore. So
Correct.
I think, we need to go on and get along and keep these idiots who are like children. They literally are like children in their mindset of, oh, we need to attack Russia. Oh, we need to bomb the Middle East. Oh, we need to invade someone. They need to be dealt with until, all these things are settled. Which brings us to the next topic, Siege. Absolute BS, Hannity caves, respect for the family. Every family should demand the truth.
Yesterday it was very interesting. We had Trey Gowdy, and he was drilling down on former CIA John Brennan, was drilling down on him and asking him specifically, what specific evidence do you have in regards to this whole Trump-Russia collusion? And pretty much nothing was offered. However, we have something that's sitting, right in front of us in regards to Seth Rich, in regards to Kim.com, and this information that he has. And Kim.com, to me, is doing everything, very professionally. Here's a guy that the United States specifically targeted, illegally, seized all his funds. This guy has every bit of a vendetta against the United States, and particularly the criminality that exists with the DNC, with the deep state. And now we're watching where at one point Sean Hannity was a very loud voice for the investigation for Seth Rich, the investigation of the DNC, to specifically figure out what happened. And now Hannity is coming out saying, well, out of respect for the family's wishes, I'm no longer going to be discussing the Seth Rich matter. If I was a family member and something happened to my son, my sister, brother, I would darn well want to know what specifically was going on or what did happen, even if it meant that I was being threatened by that same criminality that may have led to Seth Rich's death.
Yeah, absolutely. Unless, of course, you've gotten that phone call in the middle of the night telling you to knock it off, otherwise the rest of your kids are going to be dead. Then you're going to change. Then you're going to change your tune.
Right. So
I think that's what's happened, bro.
Yeah, that's exactly what's happened. And then obviously, he's being controlled. Now, yesterday was very well detailed out that the whole Seth Rich thing in regards to the DNC, this is a pretty huge domino to fall when it does. And Sean did an interview with Bix yesterday and kind of laid this out as far as what specifically is going to happen. This whole investigation of the DNC and Seth Rich breaks so many different narratives down in regards to everything that you're seeing in DC. So again, I want to just ensure that we're doing our part to keep this alive, to keep the pressure on the FBI, the government, that they do need to begin an investigation of the DNC with Seth Rich to specifically see what happened so that we can get the truth out.
Yep. Absolutely, man. Absolutely. And I think the heat needs to be on. Which brings us to the end of the broadcast, CJ. Later on, we have Hump Day. Anything else on your radar, bro?
No, that's it. There's going to be some other articles hitting roguemoney.net today, so please check that out. Also, roguemoney.net exclusive is going to be the interview we did with Charles Hugh Smith of the blog Of Two Minds. It was a great conversation, great interview that you had with him, V. So I'm excited that we're going to be getting that exclusively released on roguemoney.net.
Absolutely, we got into some deep economic jargon. So it was very entertaining, very very fun. With that being said, folks, thank you again. Follow us, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you are alerted when programs like this go live. Share us with your friends and family so they too can stop eating cat food and hiding in the basement. With that being said, we're all set. Take it away, CJ.